Just a quick thank you to everyone who's been using my EA creator code. It really means a lot. If you're picking up new Sims 4 packs, just enter Simmary Sims as the promo code at checkout in the EA app or on the Sims website and click apply. It won't give you a discount, but it is a totally free way to support me and my channel. Thank you again and happy simming! Hi friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another speed build. So this build is a little bit different. As you may have noticed, the shell or like the shape of this build was already there, and that's because this is a shell challenge entry and it's actually my own shell challenge that I started last weekend over on Twitch. I always host my shell challenges over on Twitch. I create them on Twitch and I give it a go myself, and then a few weeks later, or it's usually like around a month later, I will do shell challenge tours over on Twitch as well, which is so much fun to do. And now that I have more time because I'm creating content full time now, I would love to also at some point host one here over on YouTube. So I'll just create one here on YouTube and then I'll host it here too. And I could record a video where I tour the entries or something like that. I think that would be a lot of fun. If that is something that you are interested in, let me know in the comments down below. This one is being hosted over on Twitch, but I obviously still wanted to show you my own version of what I created with it. And as you can probably tell, this one is a little bit cursed because for starters, it is 3 stories. I've never done that before. Normally, I try to keep my shells pretty small, and this one is by no means very big, but it is very tall. So it's a little cursed in that sense where it has 3 stories. And I used round walls, and that in and of itself is just like, I'm so sorry I did that, but I mean, it's a shell challenge. It has to be a little challenge. It has to be a little cursed in some way. It has to kind of challenge your creativity in that regard. I always think that is fun to do. And I also give it a go myself. So, you know, I'm not just making you suffer, I'm making myself suffer too. So that's what I did with this one. And I actually, right off the bat, when I came up with the shape, what I do when it comes to shell challenges is I'll just open up the game and I'll start building and I'll just start creating shapes and I'll add bump outs and like I'll make it weird, and I don't really normally have any reference for it or any idea behind it. I just kind of go and then see what ends up happening. And yeah, so normally for shell challenges, I do try to make it a little bit more difficult, and I'll try to add some things that I normally wouldn't, such as round walls. I barely ever use round walls anymore, which is a bit of a shame, honestly, because I feel like it can add so much to a build, but they are just so glitchy to work with sometimes. I feel like for this build, it was not too bad. I didn't really run into any issues with it whatsoever. So that was kind of good, but yeah, I feel like they definitely sometimes tend to be a little glitchy, but I used them here anyway. And right off the bat, when I had created the shape of this build and like how tall it is and like the little round, like curved bump outs, I was like, I think this is gonna look really cute in Mount Kamarebi as somewhat of like an apartment building type thing. So that's what my first idea was with it. And then I thought it would be fun to turn it into a small business type of thing with an apartment on the 2nd and 3rd floor, but then a bakery and cafe on the ground floor. And that's where another aspect of the shell challenge comes into play, because I always add at least one required base game item that you have to use somewhere in the build. You can do whatever you want with it. You can size it up, size it down, but you can't hide it in a way where I can't see it anymore. I have to be able to find it. And it's kind of like a fun mini game when I'm touring the entries over on Twitch. It's just such a fun mini game to see. Usually it's like a small thing like a gnome or the flamingo statue. I think last time we had the little baby Yoda statue, and I think one other thing. Sometimes we've also had like the sad clown painting or something like that. And it's so much fun because usually people take that item and run with it. So they'll do like a whole build around the required item, like maybe they'll make like an entire house for the sad clown, you know, like something like that, or like a gnome army type of thing. Like it can get super out of hand in the best way. Like, it's very unhinged, and it's just the most fun thing in the world for me because people are so creative, and it's just so much fun to see other people's creativity and see how they take that stupid item that I pick, because it always has to be a stupid item, and like run with it and see what they do with it and make it work for their shell challenge entry. Like, it's the most fun thing in the world for me. For this one, I added the cupcake machine, and that might be the most cursed thing I've ever added, because the cupcake machine is gigantic. You can obviously size it down, but then I don't think it's functional anymore, which it doesn't have to be. Like, that's not in the rules. You can literally do whatever you want. You can size it down and like pretend it's like a toy for kids to play with or something. I thought, you know, since I'm the one hosting the shell challenge, I will take on the challenge and actually seriously use the cupcake machine. I've never done that before. I don't think I've ever non-sarcastically, like non-ironically used the cupcake machine in a way where it actually, you know, is needed for the build that I'm doing. The cupcake machine is a horrible item. Like, I can't put it any other way. It's just really, really bad. But I felt like I had to do something with it, obviously, because, you know, again, I'm making you suffer, so I'm gonna make myself suffer a little bit here too. And that's where the idea came into play that I could turn this into a cafe slash bakery small business. And we have a little kitchen downstairs where I place the cupcake machine. And then the people or the Sims running this cafe that live in the apartment upstairs, they also bake their own cupcakes using the cupcake machine, and they sell them in the cafe slash bakery. I thought that would be cute. It's, I guess, the most normal thing I could come up with, so that's what I ended up doing, and I actually really, really like how it came together. The kitchen is not my favorite room in this build, I will say, because the cupcake machine is just weird. It is not a very pretty item, but it is very iconic, so I'm actually kind of glad that I chose that one. I almost didn't. Someone in chat actually suggested the cupcake machine as the mandatory item. And I was like, no, I mean, sure, but like, no, I can't seriously do that. Are you seriously suggesting this? Because I can do it, but everyone will hate it, including me. So we went back and forth. We went over some other slightly less cursed items, but then, you know, we were like, why not? I also created the shell challenge on my birthday. So, you know, cupcakes, it's kind of festive. It's kind of like birthday related. So we had to do it. So yeah, the cupcake machine is what ended up being the mandatory item for this particular shell challenge, and I feel like it's pretty fitting. I like how it ended up looking here, or not necessarily how it ended up looking, but I like the functionality of it for this build in particular. I think gameplay wise, it would be really fun actually to run this cafe slash bakery as a small business owner. The apartment that takes up the second and third floor, it's like a 2-story apartment above the bakery slash cafe, has space for 2 Sims. So I was imagining 2 Sims living there and running this place, and then one of them could be the baker and the other one could be like, you know, the more outgoing type person that runs the coffee side of things and, you know, pours the coffee. They're the barista and like social with all the customers and all that. And the other Sim just likes to hide out in the kitchen and bake their cupcakes. I think that would just be such a cute dynamic, and I could totally see that for gameplay here as well. So yeah, I decided to build it here in Mount Kamarebi. I thought the shape of this build, it being a little taller and kind of small but tall, like compact, is that the word I could use for it? I don't know, I immediately just saw this in Mount Kamarebi as sort of like a modern type of building. With a couple of roof pieces here and there, but for the most part I used platform roofs, flat roofs, and make it a little bit more modern in that sense. I don't know why, but it really just felt like it would look cute here in Mount Kamarebi for me, like right off the bat, so that was really fun to do. I'm building here on the lot where by default I believe there is a bar, and I really like this lot. I don't remember if I've ever built here before, but this lot here fit really nicely, and I tried to tie it in with the rest of the surrounding area to the best of my abilities. So I use like a gravel floor or like ground here instead of the grass, but I did also want to use a little bit of playground equipment. I thought it would be fun since this is sort of, it's not necessarily a community lot, but you know, customers are gonna come over to the cafe/bakery, maybe they're gonna bring their kids, and then it would be nice to have some sort of like a playground area outside as well. So that's what I ended up doing, kind of attached to the side of this build. At first, I thought I was gonna have space for 2 separate apartments on the 2nd floor and on the 3rd floor, and I was thinking that maybe we would have some kids live here. And that's why I wanted to place the playground stuff, but then I was like, no, it's way too small. It's not gonna fit. I can't have 2 separate apartments. I mean, I could. They would end up being like studio apartments, and they would end up being super tiny, which is cute. Like they would be little micro apartments. I think that would be really fun to do, but I don't know. I just really wanted a little bit more space for a couple to potentially run this small business. So that's what I ended up doing. And I think this one would be really fun to play with, like literally in game, like do some gameplay. I'm still not over the small businesses. I love the small businesses. I think it is so much fun to play with still. And, you know, I've been kind of distracted by the new pack by Adventure Awaits, the custom venues, the getaways, like that's been on my brain. But small businesses, they never leave me alone. Like I'm always thinking of some cute small business idea that I want to build for. And I don't know why, but there is something so cozy about cafes and bakeries. I just love to build them so much. Whenever I have like a weird shell challenge or shape of a build to do, like to work with, I'm always like, could I somehow turn this into a cafe? I don't know why. They're so much fun for me to build. I think that a cafe is my most built community lot that I ever do. Like it's just so much fun for me. I don't know what it is. I also use them in gameplay very often. I always have my Sims go to cafes, so maybe that's why they're just like on my brain. But yeah, I just thought that this one in particular would work as well. And I really, really leaned into the snowy escape of it all, where I really used a lot of the furniture from that pack as well. And the wallpaper, as you can see, obviously not the coffee bar or the displays. Those are from Base Game and Businesses and Hobbies to obviously make it functional as a small business cafe. And I just really like those display cases as well. But for the tables and chairs and like bar stools, and I also used that really beautiful wallpaper tile as a backsplash for the coffee area, but also in the bathrooms. I just think it looks so fun, and it was just really fun to revisit these items. I kind of forgot about how much I love the stuff that came with Snowy Escape. I think it's so pretty and like minimalistic looking, and the wood swatches are so beautiful, and the little intricate pattern for those tables that I used. I don't know, I just think it's really, really beautiful. And then I came across these like matcha type framed posters that were perfect for this build as well. I kind of forgot those existed too, so that was really fun to come across. And yeah, you can really see the cafe come together. It's only really small. We don't have that much seating in here, but it's definitely more than enough, I feel like. It's just a cozy small cafe for Sims to kind of grab some coffee in the morning, maybe do a little bit of work if they bring their laptop or something. I would definitely use it for that. So yeah, that's really fun to do. And I think it ended up really working out, which was really fun. I also used these really cute curtains from Snowy Escape, and I wasn't sure if they would make sense on the exterior, but I was building this over on Twitch, and someone in my chat actually mentioned that they had been to Japan, and they said that a lot of buildings and like little restaurants and cafes had those small curtain type things on the outside, like on the exterior of the building. So that was so cool to kind of get to know that, and like for someone to tell me about that. And then I decided to do that on this build as well. I just think it turned out really fun. By the way, I realized if you're not familiar with shell challenges at all, I can just quickly explain to you what it means. It basically means that someone creates the entire exterior of a build. Honestly, you can create your own rules. So some people also choose to do a floor plan for the participants to work with. I didn't do that for this particular shell. I just did the exterior of the build, and then you create your own floor plan and all that. But it basically means that you have to work with that shell. So you can't change any of the outside walls or, you know, any of the existing walls, if you will. You can change them in the sense that you can change the wall height, but you cannot add on to them or take away from them. For my personal shell challenges, the rules that I create is that you can add like half walls to it and like add fences that connect to the shell, but you can't swap out any of the existing walls for fences or half walls or add bump outs or make it smaller or bigger. Like, you can't do that. You really have to work with the shell as is. And then for the rest, you can just be as creative as possible. So you can change the wall height, you can build it, you can like rotate it around, you can place it on any lot, you can turn it into any lot type. You can use any packs, like there's no restrictions whatsoever for this specific shell challenge. Obviously, everyone's rules are probably a little bit different, but I try to keep it very simple. You just cannot touch the existing walls. Other than you can change the wall height, but you know, nothing else. But then obviously you can add interior, like inside walls to create floor plans and all that type of stuff. So you can be very creative with it. But yeah, it's just so much fun to see what people come up with. It is honestly wild how creative people are and how good people are at building. Every time I do a shell challenge, and I always make the shape of it pretty weird and wonky in a way where it has something difficult to work with, there's always someone that turns it into like a suburban family home, and somehow it always ends up working too. I'm like, how did you turn this weird shell that I created into such a cozy suburban type family home? Like, how do you do it? And then others create entire farms or like steampunk inspired type of things that I would never come up with myself. So it's honestly just always so inspiring to see what other people build. So yeah, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, if you would be interested in participating in a shell challenge here on YouTube, I feel like it would be fun to host one here as well. You can obviously also participate in this one. This one I'm hosting over on Twitch, but you can obviously just grab the shell off the gallery. I will show you at the end of the video what it looks like and what it's called. But yeah, you can obviously download the shell off the gallery and give it a go yourself and even upload it. The only thing is that if you want it toured over on Twitch, I suggest coming by the stream, and then you can redeem a tour my shell little thingy in chat, and then we add you to the list of builds that are to be toured when I host a tour, you know, stream. So that's how that works. But I think it'd be fun to actually host one here on YouTube at some point too, and then, you know, people can just upload their entries and I'll browse through them and make a video where I tour a few of them. I think that would be really fun to do. So let me know in the comments down below if that is something that you're interested in. The cafe portion of this build is almost done, and then after that we are moving on to the 2-story apartment that is attached obviously to this cafe. I think this apartment came out so fun. It's a really weird shape because a good chunk of it is actually like has round walls. So that was pretty tough to work with, but it ended up working out so nicely for this build. So it's a 2-story apartment. It's really small. It only has 1 bedroom. The bedroom's going to be on the top floor. But then here at first we just have a little kitchen, living and dining area, and the kitchen's really small, so I barely had any space for clutter in here. I literally have 1 countertop free here that Sims need to use for cooking, so I couldn't really place any clutter on there. So the kitchen is really, really minimalistic and very simple, but I felt like these counters from For Rent actually worked out so nicely for the style. I was going to use the ones from Snowy Escape because obviously those would have been even more perfect, but the only thing that I don't like about those is that they have open shelving and you have to clutter them up yourselves. I mean, you don't have to. You could also just not clutter it and leave it empty and have it be very minimal in that sense. That personally for me, I don't like the look of that for my builds, so I always want to clutter them up, and it's always just, I can never just put a couple clutter pieces here and there. I have to clutter them up all the way to a point where it takes so long to do. So I just kind of avoided that issue here, and I went for the ones from For Rent, and I do think that they work really, really nicely for the style. Also, what I tried to do is I really wanted to see if I could mix in some Adventure Awaits furniture pieces combined with Snowy Escape furniture pieces, just to see how it goes together, because it's not 2 sets of furniture that I would normally like really think of as, ooh, that goes together perfectly, not at all. but I really, for that reason, wanted to see if it would work, and it actually kind of did. Like, the wood swatches don't match, and I kind of try to embrace that. So the wood swatches are different, they don't match, but that is pretty realistic in a way too. Like, you're not gonna have all your wood swatches in your house for all your furniture matched. That's just not what's gonna happen in real life. So I felt like it would be fun to embrace that here for this build as well. So I was going for a seating area with the couch and the chair from Snowy Escape, which I think worked really, really well. And then I had that coffee table and also the TV end table thingy from Adventure Awaits. And you can see that the wood tones don't really match up, but I feel like style-wise or vibe-wise, it's very rustic in a way, and it kind of goes well. I mean, it's not my first choice of furniture maybe to combine normally, but I feel like it really worked out in this apartment because it feels very cozy and lived in as is. So the mismatched furniture really, really worked in here. That rug, however, was perfect. I'm using the rug from Adventure Awaits in this white, beige, gray kind of color scheme, and it's so neutral and perfect. I did size it up using Tool Mod ever so slightly so that it is a little bit bigger, but it really, really worked so well in this room. It's so calm and just very neutral in that sense. And then in this rounded portion, I thought this kotatsu table looked so good in there. I haven't used those low dining tables in a very long time because I tend to only use them here when I'm building in Mount Kamarebi. But I had the perfect space for it there by the rounded walls, and it just ended up working out so, so nicely. So I was super excited about that. And then I realized that I definitely had a little bit of space left. Like, as small as this area is, I feel like I definitely had some space. It felt pretty spacious. And I decided to keep it that way because it feels very calming and open and everything flows together really, really nicely, I feel. And I thought it would be so nice to just not have every single corner of this room like cluttered to the max and like have stuff everywhere. But I really tried to keep it kind of simple and minimalistic in that way. I really thought that that would match with the vibe of this build in general. So yeah, that's what I ended up doing. I also have a small balcony out here, or like a terrace, like a rooftop terrace type thing, which was pretty spacious. So I decided to go for an outdoor dining area here as well. So we have like a nice 4-seater dining table out here and then some plants. I also wanted there to be a couple of activities for them to do, so I placed a telescope, and then I also ended up placing a couple of planters. I thought that would be fun. I don't know if you can actually use fresh fruit or anything in your cupcake recipes, but I thought it'd be fun to like have some blueberries and that type of stuff, maybe some strawberries. And then the baker sim likes to use those, fresh veggies or not veggies, but like fresh fruit for their cupcakes. I don't know if that's a thing, but I thought it'd be cute. So I placed some planters out there anyway. And then all the way up top on the 3rd floor, we have a very tiny landing that is open to the apartment or the living room space underneath. And I thought that looked so cute. And it was still big enough to kind of make use of the space. So I turned it into an office where I just put a desk with a computer, and it's really small, so I didn't really have any space for other items than that, but that turned out very cute. I just love that area. I feel like it's such a fun space for a desk with a computer, like looking down. I don't know, there's always something about open staircases that are open to the floor below that I really like how it looks. So that worked out perfectly for this apartment too. And then we have one bedroom upstairs here. I could have left it open and have it be like a loft kind of situation, but I really liked the idea of it being more closed off. So I decided to go with that option. And so we have a double bed here, and just, this entire room is just very calming as well. I love that dresser from Snowy Escape that I placed in the corner, or the wardrobe, I should say. I really like how that one looks there. And then I added another dresser across from the bed. I was very close to placing a TV there, but I decided not to do it. I don't know. I just went for these little paintings instead. I thought that was cute. And I also ended up putting a cat tree in here because at the very last moment, we decided, when I was building this over on Twitch, we decided that these people would probably have a cat. So I placed a cat tree in the corner, and then I went back to add a litter box and a food bowl downstairs as well. I think there's a litter box on one of the smallest, we have some really tiny balconies here attached to this apartment that you can't really use because they're literally a couple of tiles. So you can't really use them for anything, but it was perfect for a litter box. So I ended up placing a litter box there. This apartment obviously also has a bathroom, and I had to go for that kitty wallpaper that I placed in the cafe bathroom downstairs too. I love this kitty wallpaper so much. It is literally the cutest thing in the entire game. So I had to use that here in this bathroom upstairs as well. Whenever I have an opportunity to use it, where it fits in, like where it blends in with the build, I just have to because it's so perfect. And we just have a walk-in shower, and then that's it for the speed build. So let's jump into the game and I'll show you this build in real time. So here we have the build in the game, and can I first of all just have your attention for how gorgeous Mount Kamarabi looks in the fall. Look at all those orange trees. What on earth? Like the orange, the yellow, the red, it's so beautiful. So I was so excited to see that. So I obviously took my screenshots in the fall. Also, I have Hagrid here as a playtester sim for this one because he was available. So, you know, good old Hagrid just running a cafe in Mount Kamarabi. But yeah, here we have it. I think it turned out so fun. I feel like it looks very inviting, and I love how it looks in this area across from the park over there. We have a lot of Sims with bags on their head walking around here, so there's probably some kind of neighborhood action plan going on. Anyway, outside here we have a couple of cars parked. I thought that looked fun and realistic. Also some bikes, and then over here is a really small playground. I just love this slide. It just looks so realistic, and I had to use it. And then we also have a swing set and a picnic table over here, and I have a couple more picnic tables over here so Sims can enjoy their coffee outside if they want to. For the rest, there is not a whole lot going on here other than, you know, just some trees and whatnot. I really tried to keep this very minimalistic to make it blend in with the area. And then we can go inside. So this is the front door that obviously leads into the cafe. So there's a small hallway where you can hang your coat and whatnot. Of course, there is a bathroom right here for customers to use. And then just like that, you walk into the cafe. And this just looks so serene and so cozy. So obviously we have the barista area where you could tend the coffee bar. I also added in a blender because it's a new item and I love it. Not sure if that means that customers will just come back here and blend smoothies or whatever, but I just liked how it looked, so that's what I did. We have some display cases. As you can see, I had Hagrid playtest the cupcake machine, so we have some freshly baked cupcakes over here in the displays. I also really like this tucked in bar counter situation where Sims can just sit and enjoy their coffee, and yeah, just some tables over here in the cafe for Sims to sit. And then through this almost invisible, blends in with the wall really nicely, this sliding door, we have the cupcake machine in the kitchen. This is not my favorite room, but you know, I did what I had to, and I made it look as cute as possible, I guess, to the best of my abilities anyway. So yeah, this looks like a nice area for a baker sim to just prep their batter and their whatever they need to do. And bake their cupcakes, really. That is all that's going on in here. Then over here we have the tiniest hallway leading into the residential area of this build. So there's just a small hallway over here. There's not much to it. And then going up the stairs, this is where we have the front door into the apartment. So in the apartment, you just kind of walk straight in. There's a bookcase here that really blends in with the stairs. I love how that looks. Over here is the living room. I kind of like how mismatched it looks with the adventure awaits stuff, and at the same time it kind of goes together in a way, like in a cozy lived-in way. In this area over here we have the dining table. I love when I get to use this kotatsu table. I think it's so pretty. I also placed a food bowl for the cat, of course, and then kind of tucked away in the back here is where we have this kitchen, and I love how it blends in. I don't know, there's something so cozy about this kitchen to me. Through this door over here is where we have a balcony. So there is a 4-seater dining table here, some plants, a couple of activities, and out front actually we have a really tiny balcony, and that is where I placed the litter box. Going to the 3rd floor, oh, there we have Hagrid. He was on his way to play some Mysterious Death of Robert Crumplebottom. I've literally never heard of that game before. That is so funny. I did not know that that was an option. Is that a game? Oh, he's leaving it alone already. Maybe it's like browsing the web. I don't know. In any case, up here we have a small desk. So there is a tiny office space here, and then a bedroom, of course. This is for 2 Sims. I had to fiddle around with these nightstands a little bit because they were in the way of the bed, but I play tested it and now it should be fine. There's a wardrobe in the corner, a chair, probably for the cat, you know, a dresser with some knickknacks, a cat tree in the corner, and then some more storage over here. There's a really tiny balcony out front here as well. I just placed a single chair. I thought that was fun. And then a bathroom over here, of course, just a walk-in shower, toilet, sink, you know, all the necessities, and the world's cutest wallpaper, might I add. It is adorable. But that is it for this build. This bakery, cafe, and apartment build is up on the gallery. I did build it sideways, technically, on the lot in the wrong orientation. So that's why it looks like this on the gallery. It's always so sad when that happens, but you know, it just be like that sometimes. I built it on a 30 by 20 in the world of Mount Komorebi on the lot where by default there is a bar located. So if you want to place it in your game, that's where it goes. Now, like I said, this is part of my own shell challenge that I'm currently running, and you can find that one on the gallery as well under the Simmary birthday shell title. It is literally just the shell placed on a 30 by 20, and I included the cupcake machine for you. So yeah, if you want to give this a go, then you can definitely grab it off the gallery. I'm doing the shell tours over on Twitch on November 7 and 8. So that is something to note if, you know, that is something that you're interested in. But that's gonna do it for today's video. So I really hope that you enjoyed this one. If you did like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. You can find me over on Twitch, TikTok, and Instagram. My username over there is Simmary Sims. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!